Hello everyone, Castle95 here, and tonight we are going to talk about OVE versus Lashley and Edwards. Like, this is a dream match that just happened, and well, it really happened in January, you know, with the tapings and everything. But the fact that this has happened in Impact Wrestling on Pop TV it's really special. I mean, it's not like a by the rules dream match like it would happen at the Indies, for example, where these four guys would have go for 30 minutes and kill each other, which would also be amazing. But you know, it has something to it also that is happening in Impact Wrestling. And although you knew Lashley was going to win, because even though he's leaving the company, Impact Wrestling is booking guys like EC3, Lashley, and Chelsea Green, like to try to justify it, like within the kayfabe, why are they leaving and why are they not going to show up for the next series of tapings in April. And I appreciate that. It's like kind of trying to leave a door open, because you know, this is wrestling, you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they're going to come back, they are going to end up in NXT, something like that. Another option would have been that they will start losing matches and become, maybe with Laurel they could have made her into a comic relief character, like jobbing around for the next series of tapings until release her in July of this year. But they didn't, again, because I think they want to keep a door open just in case, you know. But also, if you will like kind of humiliate, let's say, a wrestler before leaving your company just because they are going to wrestle for another company, in this case WWE, I mean, that's not even a bad thing. Like, you know, look at Drew Galloway. He was like basically a clown part of 3M before the last months of his career in WWE before leaving the first time, and either way he came back. Like, you will think that that's a dick move, you know, trying to use a wrestler just because he's under contract, try to use him as, well, it's not really a bad thing because you're using it as a support character, and you know, making him lose matches and jobbing around. It will seem like a dick move, and like that's a closed door. But you know, in wrestling anything can happen, so whatever. I mean, I just appreciate that they are trying to explain why these guys are leaving the company, and you know, within the kayfabe. And I didn't expect at all that when Sami Callihan said we got bigger fish to fry, I didn't expect at all that they were going after Lashley. And I think that's super cool, because not only the dream match that we had, you know, last week, Sami Callihan versus Lashley, which also had a lot of controversy and maybe didn't last long enough for some fans to appreciate, you know, but what they would like to see from Lashley versus Sami Callihan. But yeah, you know, that's the thing with television wrestling, and nobody says that this match could not ever happen again, like at the Indies, maybe at WrestleCon they are going to book this or something. And also, you know, it's already common knowledge that at some point of this rivalry, Sami Callihan, I guess, hit badly Eddie Edwards with a baseball bat, and now he was injured, but I think he's recovered. He actually re-signed with Impact Wrestling for, I think, another year or something, I don't know. But the thing is that they are kind of cooking a rivalry between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan, which probably is going to end up happening at Slammiversary, who knows, or at the next big pay-per-view that I think is called Redemption. So, you know, anything can happen, and I'm just glad that these guys, OVE, are getting all the exposure they need. I mean, if Lashley was going to leave, I thought he was going to leave and just put over guys like KM or Moose. Also, the KM situation is kind of weird. Like, he had some important push, like he was a key player in the death of James Storm in Impact Wrestling, you know. He basically took out Moose backstage, and then he hit Storm with a beer bottle in the back of his head, and he, thanks to KM, basically Storm is out. And you know, Dan Lambert hasn't appeared again. Of course, he was speared by Lashley, but I expected something important from KM in this season. I thought maybe Dan Lambert would appear in a wheelchair and try to manage KM that way, you know. But KM actually lost to Lashley, and we haven't seen him again, like, since that day. But you know, anyways, the hype is there still, and I don't think they can take it with calm and start booking KM again at some point, but I didn't expect Lashley to actually finish his Impact career, at least for now, putting over OVE, especially Sami Callihan. And the thing with Eddie Edwards coming out to rescue Lashley, I can accept it. I know it looks kind of forced, but you know, if you have followed Impact Wrestling, these two guys had one of the most intense rivalries in the last couple years, and Eddie Edwards winning the world title was special. It was a long time coming, and with option C, the steel cage match, and then Lashley choosing Eddie Edwards because he thought that Eddie Edwards was the weakest opponent, but it turned out that Eddie Edwards actually won the title that night. And it's two arch nemesis super rivals end up becoming friends because they know each other so well, and they both have been hurt. Like Eddie Edwards was betrayed by David Richards, and Lashley was, well, I will say betrayed by Dan Lambert and American Top Team. Well, not necessarily, but kind of the same thing, and they both are in a kind of a limbo situation because Eddie Edwards is no longer a GHC World Champion and Lashley is no longer the Impact World Champion. He didn't really had something to be busy with the company, so I get from that this makes sense, but I would have appreciated in the episode of this week, the 22nd of February, they have a little segment backstage when they are talking, and Edwards says, we don't have to like each other, but we have a common goal, which is take out OVE. And you can hear Eddie Edwards say, this is our common goal, but really, what did OVE did to Eddie Edwards? Ever? Nothing happened. Why would Eddie Edwards out of nowhere try to defend Lashley? Because now he says his goal is to take out OVE. That kind of doesn't make sense. But anyways, I'm just asking for another segment between Lashley and Eddie where they could maybe recall on some of their matches, their rivalry in general, and say dude, we don't have stuff to do, and this is an opportunity to, get over OVE and keep our spot because these guys want to take us out, and that will kind of justify why they will join forces. But anyways, that's a little detail. But the match itself, it's really great. I like how Lashley kind of doesn't want to talk and he's just super angry. His match with Callihan was great, and the moments where Callihan hit him and he was super angry and no selling, and that was just great. But in here, watching Jake and Dave Chris against Lashley and Eddie Edwards, that's just a dream come true. And I loved how the match started with a brawl ringside, and yeah, of course they are booking this as if OVE is not as strong as Lashley and Eddie Edwards because they need Callihan ringside and they need to kind of cheat to be on Lashley's level, try to take control of the match. And just the contrast when you have Dave Chris standing up by Lashley, and Lashley is just like a refrigerator. The guy's huge, and you have Dave Chris. His facial expressions are really, really good. Dave is usually the quiet guy in the OVE group. Jay Chris is always with his arms open and his tongue out and screaming everything, whatever. And Sami Callihan is always screaming and spitting and being disgusting in general. But Dave Chris is always with his palms together and kind of in silence. That's kind of his style, but I know this guy can cut a promo, and I've seen his work in CCW, especially the past couple years, and his facial expressions are really, really good, and if he wanted to talk his mouth off, I know he would do it. Anyways, the exchange between Dave Chris and Lashley was awesome. I like when Lashley it's put against smaller guys than him, that you will think these guys are more quick than Lashley, but then he starts showing off his athleticism with leapfrogs and going down on the mat and then using the ropes, running around the ring from one corner to another, and you say, damn, Lashley is really something special, and he can actually match Dave and Jay Chris in speed, and that's awesome because that represents an even bigger obstacle for OVE, and that will make their victory even cooler. I also kind of expected more tag team moves from Eddie Edwards and Lashley. I mean, the last couple minutes of this match are really cardiac, and you know, a lot of tag team work, actual tag team work happened. But I guess this makes sense because it's the first time ever these two are tagging, and you know, you can see Sami Callihan's interference and Dave and Jay Chris using that to their advantage. And yeah, for a first time encounter, I think that's great. I also like the fact that as soon as Lashley tags in Eddie Edwards, like OVE says something like, well, not literally say something, but you can feel that their strategy changes, and they say like, take down Eddie Edwards. Like, he can't tag Lashley back in because that will ruin our strategy, you know? It's like, isolate Eddie Edwards and kill him before he gets to tag Lashley in. And I think that's cool. Then I like the vertical suplex that Dave did to Eddie Edwards from the apron, you know, from the outside to the inside, with Dave standing on the first rope. I think that was great. I mean, I haven't seen that before, and if he keeps doing that, that'll be great. That's an awesome signature move. Then at some point in this match, Sanjay Dutt was putting over in commentary Jay Chris, and I really like that he said, you know, he's special. The way he moves in that ring is just so smooth, and his facial expressions when he screams everything. Also, I loved when he was tackling Eddie Edwards with his shoulder in the corner, screaming everything. I mean, that's just so cool. And that's true. Like the strikes from Jay Chris are awesome, and the way he moves in the ring, the way he sells every movement, you know, his facial expressions, all the screams and everything. It's just so cool. I also liked Josh Matthews' commentary when he said OVE has this idea of that they work harder than everyone else, and that they, you know, deserve good things in wrestling, and that they, you know, have worked too hard for this to fail, and this have the mentality of a family, and the pride that they have from, you know, being from Ohio, and like, it's really strong. You can really feel that about them. Like, they feel like entitled to be the best, and that's what they want to be. And even before Sami Callihan showing up at Bound for Glory, you can see with Dave and Jay Chris that they knew, like, this is our time, you know, we've worked so hard for this. They said, what, 15 years or something, and this was special for them, and they took it because they knew they deserved it. And that's one of the things that make OVE so cool. And also, I wanted to point out the guy in the crowd that's making a cosplay of Jay Chris. That guy is a hero. I just love his cosplay, so awesome. And also, when Lashley starts giving belly-to-belly suplex, like, over the head to Jay Chris, it's just, what the hell? He's just throwing Jay Chris over his head with Lashley standing. Not even, it looks effortless, like Lashley's some kind of beast. Like, this guy is so awesome. And then the power slam in the middle of the ring. Then I like the suicide dive by Eddie Edwards. And you know, I will understand why some people have problem with using Dave and Jay Chris as small guys compared to Lashley, where they, you know, Dave does a running boot to Lashley, but Lashley bounces back up with a clothesline and takes out Dave. You know, that's kind of, I get why you wouldn't like it, but like, I don't have a problem with it because they kind of balance that with Dave and Jay Chris, and Sami Callihan are kind of smarter than Lashley because they know how to cheat, they know how to use the numbers to their advantage, and that kind of balance things between they looking weak but also you can't watch past them because, you know, they are unpredictable and they still are dangerous in their own way. But anyways, speaking about the last moments of the match, you know, Callihan is distracting Eddie Edwards, and Lashley attacks him with a spear on the outside, and then Eddie Edwards attacks Jay Chris with the Boston Knee Party, and then he gets the pin. You know, I was happy because Eddie got the pin instead of Lashley, you know, because actually Eddie re-signed with the company and everything. But so I don't know how this is going to continue. Obviously, I didn't spoil myself. I don't know. I just know, like, the accident that happened with Eddie, the baseball bat, and Sami Callihan, but I don't know how they got to that point and what's going to happen next. Now, I will say OVE wanted to take out Lashley. They are 2-0, basically lost 2 matches against Lashley. I don't know where this puts OVE, but knowing how Impact has been booking the show lately, probably we are going to have more tag team matches, or maybe a 3-on-3 match. You know, that's something that Impact used to do. But also, I would like to hear what does Sami Callihan have to say about this. You know, OV in general, but especially Sami Callihan have to say about this. How is he going to get Lashley into wrestle him again? Or how is he going to put Lashley or Eddie Edwards in the position where they will have to defend their spot in the company, and therefore Sami Callihan will be able to challenge them and take their places, you know, which is the main goal of OVE right now, I think. And also, I would not mind if we can get to see Dave Chris versus Eddie Edwards in a singles match, or Jay Chris versus Eddie Edwards in a singles match. The same with Lashley, that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, that would be it for tonight. And yeah, I really enjoyed the show. This match was one that I was really looking for. Like, it came out, I don't know where. I didn't expect Eddie to came out to the rescue that night, and then book a tag team match. But it's awesome, and the match was really great. And I hope it happens sometime in the future where they can go, I don't know, 20 minutes and kill each other. That would be also really cool. But anyways, that will be it for tonight. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.